While state legislators on both sides of the abortion issue continue to battle it out in states across the country, the pro-life movement continues its mission. One of the largest displays of the movement is the annual March for Life. Held on the anniversary of the Roe v. Wade decision in Washington, D.C. each year, it draws tens of thousands from across the country who take part. Some pray along the way. Others share their stories of life or regrets of abortion, and all stand as a symbol of the diversity of the movement. It spans ages, races, religions, and economic class. The president of the March for Life, Jeannie Mancini, joins us now to talk about the future of the pro-life movement and the March for Life. Jeannie, thank you so much for joining us. The latest Marist poll shows that 56% of Americans oppose the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. 40% support the Supreme Court decision. When we look at the percentages of those who support abortion rights, 55% support and 36% oppose, with an 8% saying they're unsure. What do these numbers mean to the pro-life movement? Are they accurately reflecting America?
Well, Montse, thanks for having me on. It's always such a joy to come on with you. So what I would say is that these up and down polls asking about if you agree with Roe, do you agree with the overturn of Roe, etc., are so misleading because sadly, the American public at large doesn't really know what Roe allowed, which is abortion until birth and essentially not allowing states to have limits after a certain point in time. So, of course, the decision that went before the Supreme Court would have allowed states to limit abortion at and after 15 weeks. And under Roe, that wasn't allowed. So if you ask the average American where they stand on states allowing limitations, pro-life protections being enacted, they would strongly agree with that. And they do strongly agree with that. But when you ask them sort of up and down about Roe, they really want Roe still on the books. And so the other piece to this, Montse, is that anytime there's been a big cultural change for a few months or even, a year or so, we're going to see overreactions to that when people are polled. So I think that it's not really something to lean into in terms of trusting right now. I think we do have our work cut out for us in terms of how we can gain back the narrative on this. And to me, I think the single most important thing that pro-lifers can be doing and pro-life leaders in the media can be doing is emphasizing two things: the humanity of the unborn child and how being pro-life is compassionate, how we seek to serve women, how abortion does a disservice to women, and how we want to support women with real options when she's facing an unexpected pregnancy.
So it's really about continuing to have the conversation and really figuring out the literacy around both the old decision, Roe, right, and the new decision, Dobbs. So I think that's an ongoing conversation that you and your team will probably be having. But the pro-life movement did take a big hit in Kansas when the Defense of Life was voted down. Why do you think that failed?
So, gosh, there was so much happening there, Montse. Again, I'd go back to this idea that it was so shortly after Dobbs came down, and there's been just this misinformation campaign. And I would say that that the other side, pro-abortion advocates, have definitely been portrayed in media in a way that pro-lifers have not. So in other words, they've absolutely gained the narrative, and most secular media is not giving the time of day to our side on this. So for example, there's been so much misinformation about ectopic pregnancies and miscarriages, totally erroneous stuff. But despite us fighting, the battle and showing the truth about that, it hasn't been popularly reported in mainstream press. But as for Kansas, so I would say, in addition to the timing of it, it was a very hard message to sell because it was like a negative thing, so to speak. So really, all that we were asking voters to do was allow Kansas to enact pro-life limitations. But the other side outspent and outmessaged this, and again, just wasn't. They were erroneous in their messaging. They made it sound that there would be a ban on all abortions in Kansas, that this would be, totally different than what it was, which was allowing the state to enact limitations. So they also, again, just with the unfair sort of media coverage, I know I have a nephew who's in this work, and he tried to get so many media interviews in Kansas and even little radio interviews, et cetera, and they wouldn't allow the pro-life side to be shown. So outspending, timing, hard to message, all of these things, I think, added up to a very sad defeat in Kansas. But we can't, we can't be dismayed on this. We just have to keep on striving here.
And you're talking about your nephew. Many people think that the pro-life generation is made up of all Christian conservatives, old Christian conservatives. But there's a growing number of secular voices, including from the LGBTQ community, in support of life. Can you provide more context on the diversity of the pro-life movement?
Oh, yeah. Anyone who's come to the March for Life knows how diverse we are, ethnically, people of different religious beliefs, et cetera, et cetera. So I can just speak to the March for Life and invite all of your participants to come or just to check out, photos of the march. But listen, the thing that joins us is knowing that abortion is the human rights abuse of today, and knowing that the unborn child has inherent human dignity. And we're all kinds of people with different backgrounds and belief systems, et cetera. And so at the March for Life, we're nonpartisan, we're non-sectarian. The only groups that we do not allow are groups that advocate for violence. I mean, we're just an anti-violent pro-life protest. So yeah, it's a beautiful, colorful movement.
Very different. So where are you going to end up now? Not at the Supreme Court anymore, but at the Capitol? Is the March for Life going to change in some way?
Well, anybody who's marched that route knows that the Supreme Court is right across the street from the Capitol. So we probably will have the same landing spot, but we will be more focused on the legislative side versus the judicial side where we're landing. But gosh, what an exciting march this will be. So January 20th, 2023, you're all invited. I've been shocked how many people have asked if we'll continue to march. There is such a need to continue to march. This will be the 50th anniversary of the March for Life, the first post-Roe march. But we've got so many battles still legislatively at the federal level, even simple things like keeping Hyde Amendment in appropriations every single year, which is arguably the most impactful pro-life policy. But of course, Montse, I've shared with you and your viewers about our state march program, which is rapidly growing. This year, we're in 5 states. Next year, we'll be in 10. We plan to double each year till we're in all 50 states. So, so much to celebrate and so much work to be done in this new season of building a culture of life.
So lots of work to be done at the state level, and also looking forward toward what will happen in the legislature for Protections for Life. Jeannie, I'm so grateful that you were here with us.
Thanks for having me, Montse.
Absolutely.